Welcome to the 2020 Taylor County Sheriff Debate, hosted by the Hardin-Simmons Criminal Justice Department. Thank you all for joining us this evening on the first day of early voting. My name is Dr. Karen Brown, and with me is Dr. Nancy Kaczynski, faculty teaching undergrad and grad students in the Criminal Justice Department here at HSU. We will be moderating the debate. A special thanks to Larry Wheeler. Larry, would you stand up? Larry, that's Larry and his crew for setting all of this up tonight. Can we just thank them? They really went above and beyond. And when I first walked, I thought, well, this is easy. This is all much more difficult to put together than it looks. So thank you so much for doing that for us. We have two students who not only have been monitoring student sign-ins, but also will be helping at each mic when we open it up for the public. And so I'd like to introduce Amanda Tokunaga. If she's not here, where is she? Well, she's back there. And also Taylor, there she is, and Taylor Hinahos. Thank you both. Okay, so thank y'all. Okay. Introducing the candidates this evening is one of the students in our program, Michael Hicks. He is president of the Criminal Justice Association from Decatur, Texas. Please welcome Michael Hicks.
The 2020 election for sheriff is a three-way race. The three candidates running for Taylor County Sheriff provided the following bios. Ricky Bishop became Taylor County Sheriff in January 2013 and has been employed with the Taylor County Sheriff's Office since December 1999. Sheriff Bishop worked in corrections, patrol, and investigation divisions. He serves as one of the two fire arson investigators for Taylor County. He also currently serves as fire chief for the View Volunteer Fire Department. Sheriff Bishop holds current certifications as an instructor, master peace officer, master jailer, mental health peace officer, field training officer, basic fire arson investigator, emergency care attendant, and an accredited advanced firefighter. He is a member of the State Firemen and Fire Marshals Association and the Sheriff's Association of Texas. In 2009, he received the Law Enforcement Officer of the Year Award, which was presented by the Veterans of Foreign Wars Post 6873. And in 2010, received the Fireman of the Year Award, presented by the View Volunteer Fire Department. When asked why candidate Bishop is running for sheriff, he said, "I am seeking my third term as your sheriff. I have several projects that need to be completed, to include raising salaries to a competitive level, equipment and training, possible jail expansions, computer and software upgrades, and upgrading the communication system to better serve the employees and citizens of Taylor County." His motto, pride in who we are, professional in what we do. Les Bruce is an Abilene native and an Abilene Independent School District graduate. After graduating the Abilene Police Department Academy in 1982, Les answered his calling to public service. He spent 1.5 years as a patrol officer before being promoted to the Special Weapons and Tactics teams and hostage negotiator. After serving on the SWAT team for 8 years, Les was promoted to Narcotics Division. He served as a narcotics agent for 18 years, arresting drug dealers and manufacturers and preventing them from infiltrating neighborhoods and affecting families. Les continued to blaze the trail in the Abilene community, displaying honor, compassion, and integrity. These values, along with his love for God, family, and community, are apparent as he continues his service to Taylor County, seeking the office of sheriff. When asked why candidate Bruce is running for sheriff, he said, "I know this county. I know its community members. I am an experienced law enforcement officer with the know-how needed to bring an effective working law enforcement business plan to the table for Taylor County. Along with the good solid plan, I will bring honorable leadership to each and every division of the Taylor County Sheriff's Office. His motto, be strong to who you are, be great to who you want to be. Jeff Stanton is a deputy for the Taylor County Sheriff's Office. He has worked for the Sheriff's Office for over 12 years. His knowledge and experience are vast, having worked as a jailer, a work crew member, patrol deputy, and his current position as a warrants deputy. Jeff is an advanced level peace officer, among other distinctions in the field. He has always had a passion for law enforcement and serving others. Jeff serves warrants in all cities and communities within the county and assists the Narcotics Division daily, which helps to protect the community and keep its citizens safe. Jeff's ultimate goal is to provide a better service to the citizens and the employees of the Sheriff's Office. Jeff, 38, lives with his wife of 14 and a half years and son. In his free time, Jeff loves to hunt, spend time with his family, and coach Little League. He is currently serving as a board member for the Jim Ned Little League and co-owns a home building business. He enjoys balancing time between his son's travel baseball tournaments, Little League baseball, and building homes. Jeff has been a resident of Taylor County for approximately 15 years and is eager to continue to serve its citizens. When asked why candidate Stanton is running for sheriff, he said, "I'm running for sheriff as I believe I can lead a professional and transparent law enforcement agency that provides safety and security for all Taylor County citizens. I plan to accomplish this while respecting the taxpayers' money and regularly coordinating with our federal, state, and local partners." His motto, fresh conservative leadership. Thank you all for your service over the years and being here to participate in this debate tonight.
I want to go over the rules for the debate related to timing, topics, and tone. As moderators, our decisions are final. Each of you will have 60 seconds to make an opening statement. When we get to the questions, you will have 1 minute to respond. Rebuttals are 30 seconds. Those will be given at the moderator's discretion, and we will rotate who answers each question first. The last set of questions will come from the audience. We ask that during the first part of the debate, audience members refrain from making any interruptions or disruptions, including applause. We will allow 20 minutes for questions from the public. At the end of the debate tonight, you will each have 2 minutes to make your closing statements. Topics for tonight's debate have been gathered from various sources throughout the county. No candidate has been provided access to the questions to be posed for this debate. The tone for the debate will mirror the office itself: professional, responsible, and respectful. As moderators, we will not talk over any candidate unless they take more than the allotted time, and ask that no candidate talk over one another. Let's begin with opening statements. All 3 names have been placed in the jar being held by Mr. Hicks. He will draw names, and the candidates will choose their podium. Each candidate will present their opening statement in the order their name is drawn. Mr. Hicks.
Candidate Bishop.
It's going to be
Candidate Stanton. Candidate Bruce.
Candidate Bishop, you may begin.
All right, thank you. Thank you to Hardin Simmons and for everyone coming tonight. My name is Ricky Bishop, and I am seeking my 3rd term to continue serving as your sheriff. I've been with the Sheriff's Office for 20 years now, and I've been sheriff since 2013. We have made a lot of positive changes over the 2 terms that I've been in office, from proactive patrols, extending partnerships with local and federal agencies, expanding training, applying for outside funding, and we've also been able to become a whole lot more proactive with patrol. So I am first on the ballot, and I appreciate your vote on March 3rd.
Thank you. Candidate Stanton.
Hi, I'm Jeff Stanton. Thank you guys for being here. Thank you all for having us. I'm glad to be here. I've been an employee here for about 12 and a half years. Different variety of what I've done. Worked around a lot of great people. Learned a lot from working for both of these men right here, and with a lot of you out here in the seats. I believe that I am the right choice for sheriff this election because I've got a lot of great ideas, a lot of proactive decisions that goals. I think you've all become pretty familiar with what I'm talking about with patrol, interdiction, drugs, and increasing our training immensely. I'm number 2 on the ballot. I appreciate your vote today, tomorrow, the next day, and March 3rd. Thank you.
Thank you. Candidate Bruce.
Yes, ma'am. Dr. Brown, Dr. Kaczynski, and Criminal Justice Department, Hardin-Simmons, I want to say thank you for having this debate. And I do know how much work and how much time is involved in this. So I want to thank you very much. What I want to say is my name is Les Bruce. I have over 30 years of law enforcement experience within Abilene, Taylor County, Texas. I look out here and I see that probably 90% of the people here know each candidate here. What I want to say to this group is that security of anything is inconvenient to everyone. It is inconvenient. It's expensive. But what I also want to say too is that I believe I have the experience and leadership ability to bring that security plan that needs to be in Taylor County. Yes, we've got one. It is time that Taylor County Sheriff's Office makes a bigger footprint within the world of law enforcement right here within our community.
Thank you. Candidate Bruce. Oh. Okay. Question. Yes. The first question will be posed to candidate Stanton, and each of you will have 1 minute to answer each question.
Question number 1. Integrity may be interpreted in many ways. How do you define integrity, and what role will it play if you are elected sheriff?
Integrity is huge, and to me, the basis of the word integrity is your morals and ethics, what you were embedded with as you were raised. I was raised with immense integrity. It's not what you know to do right, it's what you do right because that's the right thing to do. I think that just speaks volumes of someone's personality and the way that they were raised.
Candidate Bruce.
Integrity to me means respect, means honor, which I have possessed those attributes, I believe, on my entire adult life. But the main thing about integrity that we all need to be reminded is integrity is what happens and what a police officer, anybody in our community does when no one else is looking. So that I take very seriously. I deal in the truth and respect of everyone. And that is what integrity means to me.
Thank you.
Good moral character, treating everybody fairly, being honest. That is what integrity, what I stand for. I always do what I say I'm going to do, and I stand behind what I do, and I'll always tell the truth.
Thank you. The Sheriff's Department is a fairly large organization with a variety of employees. How would you define leadership? What do you believe to be the most important leadership skill? And in what ways would you, if elected sheriff, implement your leadership principles within the department and the community? This first question goes to candidate Bruce.
Leadership is very valuable, obviously, in law enforcement. It's invaluable in every business. To maintain leadership, to create leadership, to be followed is the number one principle in my life, and it has been my entire adult life, is being able to communicate. The only way to be productive is to know how to communicate, communicate positively, and be able to relate to every individual that you are in contact with. It is very important. That communication leads to the ability to lead and to have people with you as you try to accomplish plans in the law enforcement community. I think that it also is such a valuable attribute to when you're dealing with community members. You've got to be able to network. You've got to know the value of each one of those members, and you've got to be able to communicate positive plans. You've also got to be able to communicate the negative.
Thank you, Candidate Bruce. Candidate Bishop?
Leadership. I know what the employees go through. I started from the bottom. I understand what they do and the issues that they face. I listen to the employees and make a conservative decision on things that need to take place. I'm not afraid to do I would not tell an employee to do something that I'm not afraid to do myself. And being able to communicate with those employees is key to get them to do their job effectively, and for myself to be able to do my job effectively as well.
Thank you. Candidate Stanton?
Do you mind repeating the question?
Not at all. The Sheriff's Department is a fairly large organization with a variety of employees. How would you define leadership? What would you believe to be the most important leadership skill? And in what ways would you, if elected sheriff, implement your leadership principles within the department and the community?
So I think leadership is such a wide range of responsibility, and I believe as an entire department head, you have to have other leaders that work for you as well. I believe being a positive role model, like Sheriff Bishop said, not being afraid to get down in the trenches and do the work with them, be out there, be more proactive, have a better interpersonal relationship with different employees. I just think staying positive and kind of preaching what you believe as your morals, your ethics, and providing better service.
Thank you.
Question number 3. What facility needs currently exist for the Sheriff's Office in the Taylor County Jail? And what are your plans to address these needs if elected sheriff? Candidate Bishop goes first.
I've been working with the Commissioner's Court for years now, trying to expand office space at the Sheriff's Office. We are currently in need of additional property and evidence space, about 10 times the size of where we're at now, to be able to hold our evidence, and need additional office space for added employees and record space. For the jail, there has been an overcrowding issue with females, and I had informed the commissioners 6 years ago that this time was coming, that a statewide trend of needing to add additional beds to the jail instead of housing outside at approximately $100,000 per month. It's something that we've finally gotten one step closer to that by getting some land donated by the city next to the jail, and I continue to work with the Commissioner's Court to try to figure out a way to effectively meet the needs at the Sheriff's Office and at the jail both.
Candidate Stanton.
So I believe most of the people here are employees and understand that the Sheriff's Office does have a lot of maintenance issues. The jail is overcrowded in the female side, but realistically, those are both very, very costly repairs that need to be done, and implementing a new wing. With my conservative viewpoints, I'm about saving taxpayer dollars. I believe that there is some way that we can be a little more proactive and offset some of the cost. I think that if we build a new wing and what he's proposed to house the female inmates, I believe will be at capacity as soon as it's done. So So I believe we'll be in the same position several years down the road, and I think that, you'd have to just put pen and paper to it and find out what's most cost effective to save the taxpayer dollars.
Candidate Bruce.
I believe that the office space obviously is an issue. I believe the police department moved out of the building. I am very curious. I've been visiting with county government, county officials too, exactly what that's going to cost. It's not a mystery. It's going to be a load of money. But if that could happen and bring that to an efficient office space, the office space that Sheriff's Office needs is right across the hall. I think that I know that building like the back of my hand. I moved into that building the first day it was open. So I think that is a very good plan. As far as overcrowdedness at the jail, it's no brand new issue. I dealt with that back from, in 2009 all the way to 2013. It fluctuated. Ladies and gentlemen, it's time for Abilene to explore the possibilities of a full-time drug court. We need a drug court that can deal with the overcrowding issues. We need a pipeline from the jail to the district court system.
Thank you, Candidate Bruce. Question 4. All 3 candidates have indicated that additional training is needed for officers. What specific training would you prioritize other than firearm training? What training would you emphasize in addition to mandated TCOL training? Candidate Stanton.
So I believe that for the sheriff's office side and the jail side, I believe we can have some more MHMR training and emergency medical training. I think those are both very important through both aspects of the branches of the sheriff's office. I think there's so much more that we can learn as deputies and the jailers for MHMR and emergency medical.
Thank you. Candidate Bruce.
I believe that training is obviously the most important thing, the most important aspect of being in law enforcement. I know training. I've been through thousands and thousands of hours of training. But where we need and where the holes are in Taylor County Sheriff's Office is that we need to have a training coordinator. We need a training division, basically. And we don't need to get that big, but the bottom line is we have got to go from the Sheriff's Office to the county jail. We need training in every aspect. We need to study the updated laws in family violence. There's issues there within Taylor County. We need to be able to stop cars and be courteous to our community members. We need to be able to listen to the community. We need to have supervisors that are supervising and seeing the issues. And when they bring these issues to the sheriff, they need to be discussed and there needs to be training on those issues constantly.
Thank you, Candidate Bruce. Candidate Bishop.
Thank you. We currently do have 2 training coordinators, one at the jail and one at the sheriff's office. We spend approximately $83,000 per year on training. Here lately, we've done a lot of mandated training from mental health to other guidelines that have been put down by the state, but more specialized training is something that I would like to see, and we've made a big push for everyone to grow their training from not just having a basic peace officer or jailer's license, but to get their intermediate, advanced, and their master's. So that is a big push that's going now, and we're, of course, expand other additional training with traffic stops, felony traffic stops, and different driving training as well.
Thank you.
Okay, question number 5. Cultural intelligence is the capacity to function and relate effectively in culturally diverse situations, both domestically and internationally. On a scale of 1 to 5, 1 being less and 5 being greater, what is your level of persistence and confidence during multicultural interactions? How important do you view cultural intelligence for a county sheriff? Candidate Bruce, you go first.
I think it's at a 5, and I think my ability is at a 5. I think that I have learned so much about cultural development, about cultural intelligence and analysis in the past several years, that it's really devastating to me in regards to some of the things that are occurring in our county. Maybe devastating is not the right word. It's more educational to me, to where we have so many different cultures in our community, so many different cultures that are trying to come into our community. And I think it's of the utmost value to each and every one of us as community members to understand this, to be able to identify it, and then what to do with it when it does step into your business or step onto your front porch, per se. In law enforcement, it is without a doubt, and has been for the 37 years that I've been in law enforcement, that you must understand and be able to communicate with the people, as I said earlier, that you are talking to, and have the ability to have someone there. If you can't, but have someone there that understands and able to communicate with those persons.
Thank you. Candidate Bishop.
I'm going to rate about a 4, but all officers receive cultural diversity training on how to deal with different groups that are in our community. That is some additional training that we would like to provide and expand because we do have so many more new officers within the Sheriff's Office. We are very young compared to the way we were years ago, and I feel that we've been doing a very good job of being able to communicate with the different groups of citizens within Taylor County.
Candidate Stanton.
I believe I'm going to be at about a 3 on both. I think there's always room for improvement. We do go through cultural diversity training, and that is a mandated course for every officer. But to go along with the lines of just training in general, there's always room for improvement. We don't have a lot of diverse culture out in the county, which was where I'd be more proficient at for my job that I spent 9.5 years at in the patrol division. But here in town, it is very diverse, and there's always room for improvement, always.
Thank you.
Question 6. Describe your position on the annual salary pay disparity between the patrol deputy position and those of comparable patrol officers from agencies working in Taylor County. In your view, what ways does compensation impact the recruitment and retention of effective, competent patrol deputies? What specific steps would you take to address this disparity if elected sheriff? Candidate Bishop.
When I first took office in 2013, the beginning salary was $25,000. That was very unacceptable. Over the years, we've been able to increase that starting salary to be able to keep good, dedicated employees and try to keep them from leaving. We are not where we need to be still. I am still working on increasing salaries because the problem has slowed, but we are still training people and they're leaving to go to other agencies for higher pay. I've been working with the Commissioner's Court every year at budget time. I ask for additional salary increases. Fortunately, the way our pay scale is structured now, every quarter I've been able to get additional pay raises out to the employees on top of the amount of money that has been given by the Commissioner's Court. But the number one priority for me is salaries, to be able to keep people in Taylor County, the best and most qualified.
Thank you. Candidate Stanton.
So the pay has always been a problem as long as I've worked here, and I'm sure just as well as the sheriff and when Mr. Bruce here was the sheriff. Sheriff Bishop is very accurate. He has raised the pay, but the pay for the tenured rank and file employees, if you will, is just stagnating. I understand it's tough. He has passed out raises, not to everyone, every quarter, but I think there's just, you have to be able to articulate it better with the commissioners. I feel as though if I'm elected, we'll have a more precise and outlined evaluation for officers, deputies, that kind of thing. I don't think that's the sole reason that we have a problem with the retaining of employees. I think that is a huge part of it, but it's not the sole purpose or the sole reason for it.
Thank you. Candidate Bruce.
The term bucket money is money that is dedicated, or that's left over that's dedicated to each department in Taylor County. It's a all right system. When they implemented that system, when I was at the sheriff's office, I'm not going to say I fought it. I had a lot of communication about it. And I bring to you tonight, and I've always said here, I sit here with this back in 2009, is that the salaries of the Taylor County Sheriff's Office issue is never going to be resolved, never, until law enforcement is pulled out of the Taylor County pay scale. Law enforcement needs to be an alone entity. This includes all law enforcement in Taylor County. We cannot be sitting there saying longevity and maybe a couple other certifications get you where you're at. We need to be able to attract people. This is where the new footprint comes. We've got to be trained. We've got to have a pay scale. We've got to be able to tell these young people, and even some of the
Thank you. I'm so sorry. Thank you,
That's all right.
Candidate Bruce. We're going to spend a little time on this one, so we're going to go with a rebuttal and have each one of you spend 30 seconds again and see where we are. So that's back to you, Candidate.
Okay, over the last few years, with the this bucket money that we have, I've been able to give out numerous salary adjustments to employees and the mid-levels. One of them is standing up here with me today. Over the last 4 years, he has received almost a 45% pay increase, which includes the 18% that has come from the Commissioner's Court. Employees that have been there 5 years, 10 years have received additional increases. Unfortunately, when you do the beginning salaries, we've got to hit the middle salaries, and that's what we've been doing effectively over the last few years, and we're going to continue to do.
Thank you, Candidate Bishop. To you. Stan.
So I'm not familiar with the 45% raise, but I did get a raise here recently. There was a very tenured employee that retired. I got a little bit of money for that, and I went into a specialized division in August and got a little raise from that too. So I am very appreciative of it, but I wasn't speaking necessarily for myself. But there is a gap that I believe lacks from actual improper evaluations and not just the normal cost of living raise. But I do agree with Mr. Bruce. I do feel that the Sheriff's Office, or just all law enforcement, the jail included, that we should not be included in the same pay scale matrix system that exists for the county.
Thank you.
As I was saying, it needs to be attractive to people all over the state. We need to attract good law enforcement officers all over the state, whether that means lateral hiring, whether that means bringing in and recruiting right here. Part of the footprint, we've got to implement so much as far as physical fitness. We need a new footprint for the Sheriff's Office. We need to be attractive. And pay is what's attracting law enforcement at this point. I made a prediction 15 years ago. And I said, one time sitting in my office at the Abilene Police Department, in the next 25 years, we're going to see good, hard-nosed law enforcement personnel across the United States making $150,000 to $250,000. And I laughed at myself for saying it.
Thank you,
But look
Candidate
now.
Bruce.
Look what's happening now.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Okay, question number 7. If elected sheriff, what methods would you implement to proactively collaborate with other law enforcement agencies who operate in Taylor County? How would your methods enhance and strengthen the relationships with other law enforcement agencies in Taylor County? First up, Candidate Stanton.
So one thing that I have spoken about at most events that I go to and we've all spoken at is an interdiction team. But before I elaborate on that, I believe I do have the personality that I am very approachable, I'm easy to speak with, speak to. There are other agencies within this county, local, state and federal agencies. We do currently have a couple of federal agents that work out of our office at the Sheriff's Office. That's not specifically what I'm speaking of, but to go towards the interdiction. Not only is that a significant revenue source once it gets off the ground and going, to help offset some of this stuff, like the female inmates and all that stuff, but we're all after the same goal. is to catch bad guys, serve our citizens, provide services to them. With an interdiction team, you have a way to communicate with different agencies and just accomplish the same goal.
Candidate Bruce?
Absolutely, it goes back to communication, it goes back to experience. Again, the Abilene Police Department used to be right across the hall. Now it's down the street, several blocks or miles. I know that department, I know it well. And I have deep law enforcement roots in this community. And that relationship has been severed. That relationship needs to be brought back, it needs to be fixed. I'm not bringing problems to the table. All I'm saying is that we've got to have collaboration within the city police department within we work. DPS, the networking with DPS, the networking with the FBI, with all the federal agencies. I think it's great. I think it's a splendid idea that these federal agents are looking for office space. I think it's great it's at the sheriff's office. I think that's a wonderful step. But again, talking to the community members need to understand that there's a big difference between federal investigations and local, county, and state investigations.
Thank you. Candidate Bishop?
Thank you. This is something that I saw during my first campaign. We have strengthened working relationships with numerous agencies, including all those in Taylor County. Myself and Chief Standridge actually co-chair the behavioral advisory team for the city of Abilene and Taylor County. Our narcotics and CID divisions talk on a regular basis, exchanging information on things that are going on within Abilene and Taylor County. We've expanded those federal partnerships, and fortunately, those federal law enforcement agencies chose us to house within the sheriff's office. We have an FBI agent that's there every day, an ATF agent that has his own office, and we're currently fixing to have a couple of Homeland Security agents as well. We joined a Border Enforcement Security Task Force that is geared towards drug trafficking, and I speak with the chiefs of the Merkel Police Department, Ty Police Department on a regular basis, and we assist them every day.
Thank you, Candidate Bishop. Question 8. The sheriff for Taylor County is responsible for enforcing the criminal laws of the state and to manage and operate the county jail. This means that the sheriff serves in both law enforcement and corrections. What are the 3 greatest needs of most inmates serving out a term in Taylor County, in the Taylor County Jail? And what is your plan, if elected sheriff, to address those needs in order to reduce recidivism and increase public safety? This is to you, Candidate Bruce.
I think the most important need for an inmate in Taylor County Jail, obviously, is to have good trained correctional officers. That's very important. I think that the caliber of correctional officers we have in the Taylor County Jail is superb. I really do. I know that administration. I placed that administration there, and they've just gotten better and better as time has gone on. They've gained some experience. And the bottom line of the whole thing is that when you are incarcerated, the things that I have learned, the most important things to them may not be the most important thing to me or to a community member as we sit in our home eating supper. So those are the things that need to be studied. Those are the things that have been looked at for years and years. And that is just the overall comfort of being in jail. And I know that sounds kind of back and forth because being in jail is not comfortable. But the bottom line is that it's about training, it's about hiring, and it's about having good supervisors that can maintain peace at the Taylor County Jail. The medical issues out there are a constant issue.
Thank you, Candidate Bruce. This is to you, Candidate Bishop.
Thank you. We have expanded services at the jail for our inmates. One, for example, is going to be visitation services. We did this at no cost to the citizens. We've expanded those to where inmates can be able to see their loved ones at more convenient times instead of having a small set window where they can visit up to 8:30 in the evening. We've also expanded jail ministry services. We've added 8 chaplains. We have 200 volunteers. We do well over 100 baptisms a year and provide additional classes for inmates for life skills, and also to prepare inmates not only for life in prison, but for getting back into civilian life. We've expanded several different services there for them, different classes. We provide GED classes and our Narcotics Anonymous classes as volunteers are available.
Thank you. Candidate Stanton.
So, I have to agree with both of them, but I don't necessarily feel that we have a huge problem at the jail. I think the jail is being run awesome. I think the only problem that I've been exhibited with by some employees over there is the training. Jail is not supposed to be comfortable. I'm not familiar with many other problems. I don't work in there and have the access that he does, but I usually just take bad guys to jail, and that's the moral of it. But you know, training I think can help in so many different areas, and I'll just leave it at that. I think the jail's great.
Thank you, Candidate Stanton. I'm going to follow up. So specifically, this question is addressing the three greatest needs of most of the inmates who are serving out a term in the Taylor County Jail. And what would you identify as the three greatest needs that those inmates might have that would reduce recidivism? So they're there in serving time in the jail. What would be the three greatest needs that they would have to address, and how would you address those needs in order to reduce recidivism and increase public safety? Indicating that there would be something that could be done while they're serving time in jail that would reduce the possibility or probability that they would just be coming right back. Does that did I clarify that? Great. So 30 seconds each. We're going to start with you, Candidate Bruce.
Absolutely. I did misunderstand the question. I apologize. I think that it's very important to be able to network, to reach within the community, be able to communicate with the community members. We need programs at the jail. We need programs for not only the victims in our community, but we need programs for defendants. And that, along with a good, strong jail ministry, is going to reduce recidivism.
Thank you, Candidate Bruce. To you, Candidate Bishop.
Well, I believe that's some of the stuff that we've talked about with the jail ministry, the classes that we provide. We have work group programs where inmates can learn trade skills, whether it's in plumbing or using a chainsaw or riding a lawnmower. You'd be surprised how many don't know how to do that. But we have those programs to go along with the Narcotics Anonymous class to try to help them with any addiction problems, Alcoholics Anonymous, and with the jail ministry.
Thank you. Candidate Stanton.
You know, I believe that the work crew is great. I ran a work crew for about 2 years, 2.5 years. I would try my best to increase that work crew officer program like it was when I did it, which there were 6 or 8 of us. Now I think there's only a couple crews. But the programs exist, and you can't twist those men and women's arms to go and get any type of help that's offered in those programs. A lot of that's going to be self-driven by the inmates.
Thank you.
Okay, question 9. Please describe the philosophy of law enforcement which, if elected, would guide your leadership of this department. Candidate Bishop, you go first.
Earning everyone's respect and being fair to the citizens. Upholding the oath to not only the U.S. but the Texas Constitutions to be a strong, effective law enforcement agency that respects the public and educates them on what the laws are.
Thank you. Candidate Stanton.
I believe being a man of integrity, honor, and valor. It's very important for employees and citizens. It's just being a man of your word, being honest, in integrity in the whole.
Thank you. Candidate Bruce.
Obviously swearing to uphold the Constitution and to provide security for each community member. I think it's very important to be able to serve and protect each member of this community in a manner that is respectful, in a manner of compassion when needed, but be very firm in regards to the bad guy and make sure that they are incarcerated and taken out of the normal flow of your family's business, my family's business, and let us get back to a somewhat normal life here in Taylor County.
Thank you. Question 10. What, in your view, are the 3 most important public safety concerns currently facing the residents of Taylor County, and what is the sheriff's role in proactively addressing these concerns? Let's start with you, candidate Stanton.
So I think drugs, mental health are two. Those are the first 2 that came to my mind. Give me just a second, I'll think of a third one. But I believe that most of the property crimes or crimes against persons are drug-induced or based from a drug addiction or drug problem. Then on top of that, the mental health. Mental health exists for someone that may not have ever done a single drug in their life. But drugs do aid mental health and excel mental health in a whole. I think, if you can proactively combat the 2 of those, I think you eliminate a lot, or you aid the elimination of a lot of the problems that we see day to day as law enforcement agency that provides a service to the public.
Thank you. Candidate Bruce.
I'm sorry?
Bruce, sorry.
Okay.
Why am I
Drugs, mental health, and theft. Those are going to be wrapped up in a nutshell, law enforcement's issues of today. I'm to the point in my career and with my experience level to be able to look at that and say, what are we going to do about it? We've been talking about it. We've been talking about it since this campaign started. All we talk about is drugs. Thank you, methamphetamine. I've got a lot of experience investigating drug crimes. I've got a lot of experience investigating every kind of crime. But what are we going to do about it? It is time. It is time for the footprint. It's time for a good, organized law enforcement plan coming into Taylor County. And we've got to be able to do that with the community's help, Commissioner's Court, District Court, jail, and law enforcement involved. And it's going to take a tight network to do something about it. And I am ready to attempt that and get that done for you.
Thank you, candidate Bruce. Candidate Bishop.
Okay. Meth, property and personal crimes, and mental health. With the meth problem, that's why we've expanded our partnerships with our not only local agencies, but with the federal agencies like we've discussed. Meth is driving everything in Taylor County, and even the mental health side. 38% of everyone that's in jail right now is taking some type of mental health medication. We have added a jail navigator program, have 2 jail navigators to assist with the mental health issue, to where we can divert people from jail that do not need to be in jail, that need to be on proper medication and be well supervised by the Betty Hardwick Center. There is a CRT team that is working in Abilene to also help divert people from jail that don't need to be there. Or if they do come to jail, we can get them with the proper caseworker to be able to get them back on their meds or to continue their meds on a daily basis.
Thank you.
Question 11. How can the community help to improve the functions of the sheriff's office? Candidate Bruce, you go first.
Could you repeat the question?
Yes. How can the community help to improve the functions of the sheriff's office?
That's huge. And again, it comes back to having the opportunity to communicate with law enforcement. That is something that I want. That's something I've always wanted. I want to be able to reach out. I want to be able to have, if it comes down to it, if it comes down to having meetings in the evening at the sheriff's office to talk about certain aspects of the issues that we have in our community. I have been out in the community, again, for the last few years, but more specifically the last 3 or 4 months. There are huge issues right out there in southwest Taylor County. And of course, we're going to hear about it more and more and more. They have issues. They want to know what's fixing to be done. I've given them my opinions. I told them what needs to be done, and I will stand on that. And again, it starts right inside the sheriff's office. We've got to get trained, we've got to get experience, and we've got to hire more deputies.
Thank you. Candidate Bishop.
I'm out in the community every day speaking with citizens, and I encourage my patrol deputies to do the same while they're driving around, to visit with citizens about what's going on in their areas. And if they're seeing anything suspicious in those areas, I also encourage the citizens, if you see anything that is out of the ordinary, don't hesitate to call, and we'll send someone out to check it out and also visit with that citizen. And I think that's the key, of one of the biggest things, is citizens don't hesitate to call if there's anything in your area that you see is not right, because you know your area better than anybody else. So be sure you report anything that you see.
Candidate Stanton.
We have the same viewpoint. Community policing, it's huge. In these certain communities, I live in a very small community, and I'll tell you, I think a lot of us that live out there and in the other communities that we provide a service to, there are people that are very, very watchful to see what's going on. And if you create a relationship, a rapport with them, they are the key to deterring and helping solve crime that happens in those communities.
It's a great segue, thank you. Question 12. All three candidates have mentioned the importance of community policing. How would you define community policing, and what steps would you take to emphasize those efforts if elected sheriff? To you.
Community policing is being out with the public, visiting with the public, going to events like football games and basketball games, and just stopping on the side of the road when you have a farmer or rancher that's working on a tractor or closing a gate. Find out what's going on in those areas and build that rapport to where the citizens feel they can contact you anytime for any reason, and to be able to report anything suspicious in their area.
Thank you. Candidate Stanton.
To elaborate on that a little bit, I agree with him. I think the only thing that can be added to that is set up little meet and greets, if you will, for lack of better terms, in some of these different communities. Currently in Buffalo Gap, and it's been this way for a long time, they have a Crime Stoppers meeting there in Buffalo Gap. Maybe if we could initiate something like that in these other communities and just better aid them with the ability to come to us without having to drive to town or something like that. Just go to a little venue in their community, organize it, advertise it, and be there and just have open ears to speak with the citizens.
Thank you. Candidate Bruce.
I think proactivity. I think it's very important that the Sheriff's Office administration understands the definition of proactivity. I think it's very important that you lead by example with proactivity. And that starts at the top. It starts at the top and works its way through an agency. And being proactive is the most important thing that you can do, and that is the first rule to community policing. Being proactive means that you are out there in front, trying to get in front of the crime before it occurs. Does that happen very often? We really don't know. We don't have a gauge for that. I wish I could tell you, and after 30 years of active police work, that, yeah, I stopped 2,000 crimes. I don't know. Just the visibility of being there, we don't know what we've stopped. But moving, getting out into the community, being proactive, and then at that point creates community communication. It creates a network that everyone in the community understands, especially law enforcement.
Thank you, Candidate Bruce. We will now take questions from the public. There are 2 microphones on either aisle. Please limit the delivery of your question to 1 minute, and there will be individuals there to assist you. Okay. So we're now taking questions from the public.
Hello, gentlemen. Now, candidate Bruce said something about drug court. What is the other 2 candidates' stance on drug court and the fact that in other communities it's shown to reduce recidivism and to help with the overpopulation of the jails?
I'm sorry.
Say Stanton. Candidate Stanton, so sorry.
So I don't disagree with Mr. Bruce. I feel our county, as long as the commissioners can work it out, I think that's nothing but a great help to aid our problem with that. I agree wholeheartedly with it. I think drug court has great benefits from it.
Candidate Bruce.
Obviously, I think it's a great idea. You may hear that it's been discussed and nobody wanted to hear it. I don't know if that's a fact or not. I know that I've talked to county officials here in the last 30, 60 days. That is a very, very approachable possibility. I think that obviously when you take a court and you add an associate court to a district court, obviously it's expensive, but I don't believe it's going to be $20 to $25 million expensive as it would to add an addition to the jail. I think that it is a very, very proactive way to see if we can thin the numbers and lessen the recidivism in Taylor County Jail.
Thank you. Candidate Bishop.
About a year ago, I spoke to several commissioners, the district attorney, and at least one district judge about this. And at the time, they did not believe it was cost-effective to do this. However, with the overcrowding in the jail and some other issues, they are looking at doing specific dockets certain days a week of only bringing females over for 1 week or for 1 day instead of being able to mix and match everybody kind of like they do now. But it's something that has definitely still been on the table, and it's not something that's going to go away that we'll continue to talk about. But we have definitely had those discussions over the last year and a half to 2 years.
Thank you.
Yes, about 2 years ago, on June 9th, about 10:30 at night, 11 o'clock, you, Sheriff, authorized your deputies to go break in to a house to serve a warrant on a mentally ill, 100% disabled veteran in the military who happened to be my brother. And my question to you is, do you think you showed really good judgment in authorizing that for someone of your deputies to go break into a house at 11 o'clock at night when they're asleep? And if not, what way would you do it in the future to prevent that from happening?
One, deputies did not break into that house.
3 did.
They were there to serve a felony warrant.
Felony warrant for DWI.
Can I answer the question?
Okay.
Okay.
For DWI.
They were there to serve a felony warrant on an individual that they did not know. That individual came to the door, as I recall, and then walked away from the door. He had a felony warrant. The law allows us to chase after that individual to arrest him.
To kill him.
That individual then came at our officers with a weapon, and they were forced to defend themselves. And that entire scenario was investigated by an outside law enforcement agency, the Texas Rangers.
Yes.
And everyone was no bill.
Yeah, that's okay.
And I'm sorry it happened, but that unfortunately, that is what law enforcement has signed up to do.
My question to you was, how would you prevent that from happening again in the future? Do you think, in other words, that you might send deputies that out there trained with and have them have their tasers out or something, some other way, or wait till the daytime perhaps? This young man walked every day to the store. I'm sorry, I don't get it. Right now, he is buried in the military place out here in Fort Phantom because of that. I just want you to know that I have an 85-year-old mother that almost died because of that. That was her baby.
Sir, we're going to allow 30-minute rebuttal, and then we have a follow-up question as well. So,
We're talking about
thank you.
training.
Okay, so Candidate Bishop.
Officers do receive the training to go serve warrants. They also serve warrants by the law. No one that went to serve that warrant knew of any mental health issues with that particular individual. But when officers are faced with a threat, they have the legal right to defend themselves. They tried everything they could do to.
You should have known you have a police report.
Sir, we're gonna have to move on. We have one follow-up question to this.
Okay.
A follow-up question concerning complaints and compliments. I noticed on the Taylor County Sheriff's website that there's actually a form and a process for that. But how do each of you address complaints from the public to the Sheriff's office? And I believe candidate Bruce, you take that first.
Absolutely. Complaints are very important. They're just as important as compliments, as Dr. Lindsay said. Excuse me. The complaints in Taylor County come directly to the sheriff. It seems like in most cases, you get a phone call, you have no idea who's on the other side or the other end of that telephone. Those are very, very important to me. And yes, there's online, you can fill out forms. There hasn't been one time, as the sheriff or any capacity that I've been in law enforcement, that a person has brought a concern or a complaint to me that I have not been most attentive. I've asked many times, come down here, let's visit about this thing. If it continues and they pursue this, yes, there is a form, a complaint form, and it goes through channels, and it should be handled by administration. That's the way I always did it. I had a chief deputy that took care of those complaints, and it was taken care of to the satisfaction of that community member.
Thank you. Candidate Bishop?
We do have a complaint process. It must be a side complaint by the individual. We look at all of those thoroughly, looking at body cams, in-car cameras. They are given to a internal investigator, whether it is the CID lieutenant, who is an internal affairs investigator, and we also have two other detectives that have been to additional training for internal investigations. We get on top of those in a timely manner and get those done usually within a few days, and contact the citizen and let them know what the results of that investigation is and what we are doing to correct any issues if there are any to be corrected. Most are usually just education on the way the law is written and the way policies and procedures and how we do things, and we explain those to the citizens as the need arises.
Thank you. Candidate Stanton?
So I don't really have a problem with the way that our system is currently, and it's been like that for as long as I can remember. They file a formal complaint, and the sheriff, chief, whomever looks at it, and then it just goes down the chain of command. I'm big on the chain of command. Ultimately, whomever received the complaint or who is being complained on, their baseline supervisor should be involved, and if necessary, visit with them, and any type of disciplinary action, if necessary, or anything should take place from that point forward. But there is a list of levels of disciplinary action that take place. I don't have a problem with what's existing right now.
Really? All right. My question is for candidate Bishop. There have been 7 deaths in the Taylor County Jail in the last 6 years, and 3 alone in 2019. And my question for you is, why did that occur? It's a jail. People are not held for long periods of time there, and there is no sense in it. And then additionally, why hasn't the public been made aware of this?
The deaths that took place, unfortunately, we have a small town in the jail with over 800 beds. Natural causes was the result of most of those deaths. There was a few that ingested methamphetamines before they came to jail. Once that bag ruptures, unfortunately, there's not a lot that can be done. Medical staff is on hand to treat these individuals, and all incidences are investigated, not only internally, but through the Texas Rangers and by the Texas Jail Commission. Several of those, the public was made aware of them. The media, for whatever reason, did not report on them. Why is that the case? I have no idea. And then when they do contact us, because the Texas Rangers are the lead investigator, that's who needs to be giving out that information. But we do let individuals know how it goes from there is been on my control.
And if allowed, I have a second question.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. All right. And also in the county, Mr. Bishop, there's been roughly 55 or so liability accidents under your department. And because of those accidents, it has caused the taxpayers an immense burden of $750,000. And the real question to you, and if the other candidates would like to respond, they can, is what needs to be done to solve this issue? Because we talked about needing to increase pay and the ability to keep deputies, but we're shelling out so much money because of our own screw-ups.
Those numbers sound a little high to me over the last few years, but we do have anytime something happens, we have an internal review process for an incident review board to determine what has taken place. Not all incidents are at the fault of the officer. When you have a hog or a deer jump out in front of you, you cannot prevent that. Unfortunately, that happens on a regular basis whenever you operate a 24/7 operation and have vehicles running all the time. Is things that we look at internally, and also the county has their own incident review board that also looks at those particular incidents that have taken place, and we issue disciplinary action based off of policy violations, not only from the sheriff's office, but for county policy and for state law. And there have been some instances where I've actually removed deputies because of stuff that they've done costing the taxpayers money.
Candidate Stanton, did you want to respond to that?
Keep it real short. I think training is a huge part of that. I think maybe I'm one of the lucky ones. I've driven a patrol car for 10 years or better, and I've never hit an animal. I'm kind of with them. Sometimes it's not avoidable sometimes, but just I think more training would just help that out.
Candidate
I agree
Bruce.
100%. Most people don't think about driving, your everyday driving habits, but it's a trainable thing in law enforcement. You've got to continue to be trained because you get lackadaisical. Whether you're trying to eat a meal and drive, whether you're trying to get to point A to point B at 25, 30 miles over the speed limit, whatever the issues are, is that you've got to have common sense. You've got to have common sense to serve and protect the individuals of this community and be good stewards of every taxpayer's money.
Thank you. Next question.
Good afternoon. I think I know just about everybody in the room. My name is Kenneth Clark, and I'm a grad student here at HSU. But more importantly, I'm a retired sergeant from the Taylor County Sheriff's Department. And I would like to go just a little bit further into this question about deaths in the jail. First of all, we've got the most professional jail staff that I have ever been associated with. There are deaths that take place in the jail, but one of the things that everybody needs to understand in the room, that it is 100% professionalism that goes on in the jail. And some of the issues, the reason that you may not hear about it, because it's a privacy issue. If we're talking about suicide issues, we've got people that are watching these people, put them on suicide watches, they're taken care of. But that's just, it's 100% professional jail staff, I see it here, and it's not something that's being covered up. Thank you.
No question for the candidates, Mr. Clark?
No.
Okay.
Good evening. This question is for Mr. Bruce. The reason being, Mr. Stanton, Mr. Bishop, you're already employees of Taylor County. So, Mr. Bruce, what is your current employment? I understand you're not in law enforcement currently. And does that correlate in any way to you becoming sheriff?
Absolutely. I'm still a commissioned police officer in the great state of Texas. I teach criminal justice at Abilene High School, and what a great honor that has been for me. I will tell you this, that has helped me more and more every day in regards to recognizing cultural issues, It is brought the light to me that there is what I have referred to some of my students and teachers. So this is no slang term, but I guess it is low-hanging fruit as far as a great place to recruit from. Abilene High and Cooper both. And I'm going to tell you now that if I'm elected sheriff, there are opportunities for 18-year-olds with high school diplomas in law enforcement, in correctional positions, and that is where I'm going to go. And I've already got some excited young folks about it. And I'm telling you, it has done me a lot of good. Just today, we took a tour to the Middleton unit, and to see the questions and see how they mature with their criminal justice knowledge is a great thing for me.
I thought he was only posing it to you because you're both with Taylor County.
He did.
Any other questions? Because we've got a couple more we could ask you. Are there any more from the public? Okay.
Evening, gentlemen. Two questions. It's a two-part question. Part number one is anybody endorsing you as a candidate, and who would that be? Question number two is, as individuals within our community and our county, where are you at on engagement within our community? What other community services do you involve yourself in, from Little League to whatever? So I'm just curious, personal endeavors of what y'all do on your days off.
Right, so
It's to everybody. It's to
everybody,
each
so
one.
we'll start with candidate Bruce.
As far as endorsements, no, I have not received any endorsements. There's only been one to my knowledge that has been sought after, and that was with the Abilene Reporter News. As far as my community involvement is that I have deep roots in this community, as I've said 1,000 times. I have been on boards with the United Way, Expo Center, Nowhere Project, and there's been numerous more. Since and here of late, I continue networking with those people. I continue, doing my part as far as the rehab center goes. Those things are very, very important to me. I've had 3 kids grow up here in Abilene, all of them now adults and left. I was a very strong coach in the AYBA and also Eastern Little League. That was my thing. I've got 2 granddaughters right now that are both asleep, so I bored them to death like I normally do. They play softball and they are in and out. I have not coached their softball team. Don't know that I will, but I certainly enjoy watching them grow up in this community.
Thank you. Candidate Stanton.
Thank you, Mr. Black, for that question. I have not received an official endorsement, and I'm perfectly okay with that. But my involvement in the community, I live in a very, very small community. There's not much that goes on out there. We do have a community center out there, and I've helped out with little minor repairs and stuff out there. But as Mr. Black does know, and as I stated, or Mr. Michael there in my opening statement, I am a board member for the Gymned Little League. I am a Little League coach, and up until last year, I helped coach a travel baseball team that my son plays on, that he still plays on. I do build houses on the side, and I'm very busy with that. 40-hour-a-week job, build houses in baseball certain times of the year. Sometimes I just don't know what to do and when to actually sleep, but somehow it all gets done. But I don't have any involvement with any other community, and I'm kind of referencing outside of Abilene.
Thank you. Candidate Bishop.
All right, thank you. Currently, I've been endorsed by several different organizations. One is the Abilene Police Department Association, the Political Action Committee last week endorsed me for sheriff. I got an endorsement from the Abilene Reporter News. Also received one from the Buffalo Gap Roundup News. Former Taylor County Sheriff Jack Deacon and his wife Jacinda have endorsed me as well. Local attorney Randy Wilson and his wife Joanne have provided me with an endorsement. And actually a former co-worker and a current Hamilton County Sheriff, Justin Caraway, has provided me an endorsement as well. in the community. I am involved in my area where I live outside the city limits of Abilene with the View Volunteer Fire Department, and also assist Taylor County EMS as needed with different projects and different things. But I still currently am the fire chief for the View Fire Department, and I assist other local first responders when I do have free time.
Thank you. Are there any further questions from the public? Seeing none. Okay, we will now end with closing statements. Michael Hicks will again draw names for the order. We'll hear all of the names first so everybody knows what order we're going to do closing statements. So he'll provide those, and each of you will have 2 minutes for your closing statements. Go ahead, Mr. Hicks.
Candidate Bishop. Candidate Stanton. Candidate Bruce.
We will hold you to the 2 minutes. You may begin.
All right, thank you. Thank you to Hardin Simmons and for everyone that attended today. Again, my name is Ricky Bishop, and I am seeking my 3rd term to continue to be your sheriff. I've been with the sheriff's office for 20 years. I have started at the bottom. My entire career has been at the jail, or with the sheriff's office, beginning as a control clerk, and have slowly moved my way up. I also became a fire and arson investigator for the county, which is very enjoyable, and things that I still continue to do today, along with another detective. Over the years, things that I campaigned on the first time, we have completed, and we continue to work on different projects. Salaries is still a #1 priority to get where we need to be more competitive with not only local agencies, surrounding agencies, but try to get as close as we can to our state agencies so we can recruit and keep employees. We're constantly working on new equipment and software upgrades. I've been able to secure outside funding of a little over $1 million from the Abilene-Taylor County 911 District to be able to put computers into patrol cars so we can digitize all of our paperwork and make things more efficient for officers, and hopefully cut back on overtime that's being paid out, where we can keep more officers in the field being proactive at what they do. Prior to me becoming sheriff, there was very little proactivity within the sheriff's office. You sat under a shade tree and you waited for a call. That is some things that I changed, and even with the population growing like it is in the county, we've been able to keep the crime rate at a manageable level, and with the proactivity that we are doing. Every traffic stop, I teach everybody, needs to be an interdiction style stop, looking for not only drugs, but stolen property, stolen vehicles, wanted people, anything to go towards illegal activity. I appreciate your vote. I am first on the ballot. Thank you.
Thank you. Candidate Stanton.
Thank y'all for coming here. Hardin Simmons, thank you for having us. This was very pleasurable. It's very nerve-wracking. I'm not a politician, as much of you may know that. But again, just to kind of highlight on some of the things that I've already spoken on, transparency, like training. Training means a whole lot to me, a whole lot, and it's such a wide spectrum of training that different officers, the jail, sheriff's office, civilian personnel. I think there's just a huge area for improvement in all different aspects. As he spoke about, sure, you can conduct somewhat of an interdiction style stop with every traffic stop, but with what I want to do, I want to focus more of it with a small team of deputies, probably 2 to start out with. It will cost some money initially, but I believe that it's such a significant revenue source. It'll alleviate some of the expenditures that we have to spend farming out females to other counties. I have very conservative views. Taxpayer dollars mean a lot to me. We're all taxpayers. I just have the desire, a strong desire, to provide a better service to our citizens. Number 2 on the ballot.
Thank you. Candidate Bruce.
A minute to start this thing wasn't much for me, but again, I came to Abilene when I was in the second grade. You know, I went to Taylor Elementary, Lincoln, and Abilene High. You know, then I graduated the police academy, and my law enforcement career I'm very, very proud of. Very, very proud of. As I started saying earlier, that there's probably only about 5 or 10% in this room tonight that doesn't know each of us. So what I want to do is not everybody knows what I'm capable of. I don't want to be that pretentious, but what I do want to say is that I've got the experience. I've got the leadership abilities. I am ready to go to work. I have got my family here that I'm very proud of. We'll be married to my wife Jamie for 40 years this summer. There's things in this community that concern me. My law enforcement roots are deep. And during the last year to 2 years, the core investigator, the core patrol officer, the core correctional officer, the Taylor County Sheriff's Office, are the people that I've been visiting with. I know those core individuals, and I know what they stand for as well. And what I want to communicate to this group is, first of all, is that those concerns from those individuals are real. They are all about accountability. They are all about having the right supervisors, the right direction. And I've been hearing this now for 6 or 7 years, but more so in the last 2 or 3 years. And what I want to say to this group of the community is, and I want it to echo throughout, is that this sheriff's race is for the community. This gives the community an opportunity to look at 3 individuals, to look at what they have in their tool sack, if you will allow me. But what they have is experience, what they've done in their life, and what they plan to bring to the table to solve these issues that we've been talking about tonight. My name's Les Bruce. I want to be your next sheriff. And of course, just like this order tonight, I think I'm number 3 on the ballot. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you to the candidates. This concludes the 2020 Taylor County Sheriff's Debate. You guys go vote. Thank you and have a good evening.